Hello, this is In the News. This is the latest news channel coming to you from Dayton, Ohio. This news channel will focus in on national news, local news, and anything in between. You'll get accurate news stories. You'll get my opinion. You'll get statistics. Hopefully, you'll find this show entertaining. You'll find it informative. And this show will be coming on this channel. We got it set for once a month. We may increase that as the show progresses, but share this show out. I think you'll be informed, entertained, and hey, you may even get a laugh or two. You know what I mean? I am Keith Lander. This is In the News, and I always start with local news. And local news out of Ohio is that the Ohio lawmakers has introduced a bill to ban abortion at the beginning of conception. Now, of course, you know the Supreme Court overturned Roe versus Wade, and so the Republicans in the House here in Ohio, Representative Gary Click, who out of Victory, Ohio, who is a Baptist pastor, filed a House Bill 704, which dubs the Personhood Act. And what this would do is this bill would basically ban, it will make abortion illegal from the moment of conception. Now, the one-page legislation reads, the state of Ohio shall recognize personhood and protect the constitutional rights of all unborn individuals from the moment of conception. Noting nothing in this section shall be interpreted in any manner that would endanger the life of the mother. This bill also bans some forms of contraceptives, such as morning after pill, and which prevents fertilization of the egg implanting in the uterus wall. Now, the Republicans, most of them legislators here in Ohio, they want to wait until November 8th after the election, and then they want to introduce House Bill 598 and also Senate Bill 123. Now, Senate Bill 123, now this is sponsored by Sandra O'Brien, and it'll make it a felony for doctors to perform abortion. So, folks, when Roe versus Wade was overturned, there are some trigger laws that came into effect. Ohio had one, and these Republicans are head set in making abortion absolutely illegal here in the state of Ohio, and to go as far as basically locking up the doctors who perform this thing. Now, as you know, there was a 10-year-old girl who was raped, and she got pregnant, and she had to leave the state to get an abortion. Jim Jordan, who is a representative in the Senate from Ohio, Jim Jordan posted up a tweet who said the little girl was lying. And then when the person who raped this little girl was arrested, Jim Jordan quickly deleted that post. So we're dealing with people in legislative positions who absolutely has lost their common mind, right? I mean, they'll just say anything because they think their constituents is stupid enough to believe it. And I tell you what, some of them are. So now, relating to that abortion piece of legislation, there's a coalition of doctors here in Ohio who had released an open letter to the governor for him to dissent and reverse the Ohio abortion ban. Now, the coalition of 1,000 physicians published an open letter and basically wanting the governor to repeal that piece of legislation. And also in the letter, you can go online and you can find this letter. I'll read some excerpts from the letter. It says, suicide is leading cause of death among women of childbearing age. A government that takes away the freedom of women to access critical medical care and threatens the physicians with criminal penalties for upholding their oath is un-American. It also goes on to say, a woman, including a child or adolescent minor, may choose to have an abortion after being raped or impregnated. And we had a case like that already. And so that's the one I just talked about. Also, the decision to perform an abortion should be left solely to the woman and her physicians. Doctors are guided by evidence-based medicine and are bound by the commitment to do no harm. It says this heartbeat bill is an intrusion of government on personal autonomy and will directly lead to oppression, illness, and death of countless women. This will disproportionately affect women of color and individuals without the financial means to seek other options, and so it will basically just keep the cycle of poverty going. So, folks, you know, this thing, abortion and Roe versus Wade, have been in effect for 50 years. A woman has the right to do with her body as she see fits. There's no laws governing men in this nature. You have to ask yourself, why is that? Now, you remember when we had the COVID-19 and there was restrictions in place where you had to wear a mask and some employers wanted you to get vaccinated. Did you hear all those people crying and complaining about the government's overreach? Government can't tell me what to do with my body. But yet, you're going to tell these women what to do with their bodies. That's all for hypocrite. That's a hypocrite right there, right? Now, you're going to say, I don't want government to tell me to get a vaccination, to tell me to wear a mask, to tell me to social distance. You don't want government to tell you that, but you want government to tell these women what to do with their bodies. Think about that for a minute. Another story here in Akron, Ohio. The headlines: video shows Akron police killed unarmed Jayland Walker in a hail of gunfire and at least 60 wounds. Now, what happened was Jayland Walker, the police was trying to pull him over for a routine traffic stop. A chase ensued. We can show it on the video. You'll see the video here. A chase ensued. Walker led these police on a chase. Apparently, police reported that there was a flash come out of Mr. Walker's car, and they believed the flash to be a gun shot. So as the car slowed down, as you see on the video, Mr. Walker exited the car out of the passenger side. The police gave chase. According to the police chief of Akron in the press conference, that Mr. Walker is shown, or they believe, to reach in his waistline, and that's when 8 police officers opened fire on Mr. Walker. It's been reported that he was hit 60 times with bullets. Now, it may be more than 60 times because the investigation is still going on. And so what we see here is another case where a traffic stop results in a death of an unarmed African American. Now, a gun was found, but the gun was found in Mr. Walker's car. According to Mr. Walker, according to the Walker's family attorney, the gun was found in the back seat of the car, but the police took the picture and put the gun in the front seat of the car. And we only seen one body cam from the video that the police chief shown. And so there's a lot more unanswered questions that need to be answered from this perspective. The NAACP president in Akron, Derek Johnson, made a statement that said Walker's death was murder, point blank. Also, the Attorney General, Ohio Attorney General Dave Yost, he vowed a complete, fair, expert investigation and cautioned that body-worn camera footage is just one view of the whole picture. Now, the officer involved in the shooting has been placed on administrative leave, and that's standard practice. But we have to ask ourselves, why is it that we see over and over and over again videos of traffic stops by the police involving African American citizens wind up killing the African American citizen. Why is that? We don't see white citizens treated in this fashion, because if we did, we see the videos. You haven't seen those videos, do you? Because we don't see white drivers being treated like this. It's black drivers being treated like this, people of color being treated like this. And we have to ask ourselves why, right? Not only that, we have to ask ourselves, I don't care how much diversity training you do, I don't care about how much cultural sensitivity training you do, I don't care all that kind of crap. The bottom line is you're still going to have some police officers that go rogue. And what you do after you give them their due process, right? And if they are guilty, then you throw the book at them. That will stop this nonsense. All this training and all that kind of thing, they know how to treat folks. You don't see them shooting white folks like this. So obviously they got the ability to restrain themselves. But when it comes to black folk, man, open fire. They shot Mr. Walker 60 times. And when they went into approaching the body, one of the reports I read said they even put the handcuffs on Mr. Walker. Now, you know the man is dead after you shot him 60 times. And then they said, well, he kept moving. Well, if you shoot a dead individual, you keep shooting it, it's going to move because the bullets are moving the body. That's why the individual's moving. You know what I mean? And so here's the bottom line. And if you ever seen interaction with police and black citizens, you ever notice how the police holler and yell obscenities at black folk? But when they arrest a white individual and they give the commands, you don't hear the profanity. Yeah, you don't hear the cussing. Hey, get on the ground, get on the ground. But when it comes to black folks, get on the ground, you idiot. Y'all have seen it before. And some of y'all might have been involved in some of this stuff with being approached like that. And then the police wonder why there's a distrust between African American community and policing. There's your answer right there. So we'll see where that goes, and we'll see what happened with the rest of these officers. Hopefully, after the decision, we will see. But let me caution these union folk, especially the FOP. When an incident like this go down, the FOP is quickly, they get to the microphone, hold a press conference, say, oh, well, we support our officers. Well, that's fine and dandy, right? Well, why don't you support your officers after the investigation is done? Because you don't know whether or not your officers were right or wrong. But you're going to jump out there and say you support them. So you're telling me you support them wrong, because you're certainly not waiting until you get all the information. So the FOP, you're doing a disservice when you do that. And I'm pro-union. I used to be a union representative. So I know what I'm talking about. Y'all need to slow down too, because that's not helpful. If you want to bridge this gap between community and police, especially African Americans, FOP, take note. Be silent. If you're going to make any statement, say, I'm going to wait until the investigation has concluded, and we're going to do whatever we got to do to defend your union member. That's fine. But don't jump out there before the investigation is completed. All right? Well, let's do that. So, if you haven't heard or seen the January 6th testimony, where the January 6th committee is investigating the attempted coup by Donald Trump and his gang to overthrow the election that the American people voted for Joe Biden to become president. Donald Trump and his crew tried to overthrow this election process, right? And so there's January 6th hearings are going on. And if you haven't seen them, I suggest you look them up. And the one with Cassidy Hutchinson, I will go over some of the highlights and what she said, and her credibility is on the line. Let me say this, folks. If it had not been for good people like Cassidy Hutchinson and some others who are testifying to this January 6th committee, Donald Trump would have got away with pulling off the biggest coup here in the United States history. He would have got off with this coup because he tried all he could. Luckily, there were some Republicans who said, no, we're not going to go along with this coup. And there are some Republicans and there's people who eyewitness testimony who are testifying. And that, folks, which makes you a patriot. not doing criminal activity, trying to hide it, and then going out waving the flag like I'm pro-America. No, that's anti-American. You went against the system that the democracy of this country. And what that means, folks, if Donald Trump would have pulled this thing off, they was gonna come after your voting rights. They was gonna come after folks who are lesbian, the gay community. Now, I don't know all the letters, y'all gotta forgive me on that. But the bottom line is, it's like when folks didn't want to serve black folks. If you was gay or whichever, you go into these places, they was going to say, well, they don't have to serve you. This thing, it would have opened the box. Man, we would have been back in 1942. That's where it was heading. That's where Donald Trump wanted to take us, back in 1942, where if you're gay, you ain't got no rights. If you're black, you ain't got no rights. If you're immigrant, they definitely gonna take your rights. So in this hearing, let me highlight. Now, Ms. Hutchinson said that Donald Trump knew that the crowd was heavily armed. And matter of fact, Secret Service can be heard saying that we have people in trees with guns. They brung guns, they brung knives, they brung bats, they brung bear spray. These are Donald Trump supporters. They brung all this stuff, right? And I tell you, I give you another clue. The reason why Donald Trump knew that and the Secret Service knew that these people were armed is because if you look at that rally that happened, that stopped the steal, whatever Donald Trump called that piece of garbage, he had a protective bulletproof glass up, protecting him from the crowd, right? If you look at all those other rallies that Donald Trump had, you don't see that bulletproof glass. You don't see that, right? You know why you don't see it? Because they searched those people and made sure they didn't bring any weapons in. This rally, right? Those people brung those weapons, but the FBI, CIA, and the policing wouldn't allow them to get close enough up there on that stage, right? That's why Donald Trump said at one time, you let those people in the back, let them up front so my crowd size can be bigger. Not only that, folks, but Donald Trump wanted them to take the metal detectors away so that these people can bring the weapons in. And he also said that the people wasn't there to hurt him. That's what Donald Trump was reportedly saying. And here's the big thing of this thing, y'all. Michael Flynn, who's General Flynn, as they call him, in a interview when he testified to the committee, Representative Liz Cheney asked Michael Flynn, do you agree with the peaceful transfer of power?
General Flynn, do you believe the violence on January 6th was justified?
Do we have?
Yes.
All right, we're back. Congressman Cheney, could you repeat the question, please?
Yes. General Flynn, do you believe the violence on January 6th was justified?
Can I get a clarification? Is that a moral question or are you asking a legal question?
I'm asking both.
I said the fifth.
And this man, who is a career military man, pleaded the fifth. He didn't want to say whether or not he agreed with the peaceful transfer of power. And this man is a general in the military. His job was to protect folks, protect this country from foreign and domestic enemies. And he didn't answer that question. Do you agree with the peaceful transfer of power? He said, I plead the fifth. I don't know about the military codes and all that kind of thing, but I will say this. If there is some military justice out there, Michael Flynn needs to be stripped of his general position, plain and simple. That's the most un-American thing a military man can say, a high-ranking military man, right? So let's not mix words here. Rudy Giuliani and Mark Meadows, both of these individuals, they should be locked up, folks, for what these people done. I mean, plain and simple. I mean, these hearings are exposing it. Donald Trump know he was wrong. All these people who asked for these pardons, they know they were wrong, because you don't ask for a pardon unless you believe you have been involved with criminal activity. And all these folks asking for these pardons, they know what they were doing was criminal. Pat Cipollone told these clowns that what y'all doing, y'all gonna break a whole bunch of laws. But Donald Trump don't care about no law. He never had. He's been a rich kid ever since he was born. His daddy gave him, $10 billion, $10 million, whichever. So, he don't take no for an answer. So we'll see where that goes. Finally, a bipartisan gun legislation was passed. All right. Finally, after 30 years or 40 years trying to get a piece of legislation, it's called the Bipartisan Safer Gun Community Act. The Senate and House of Representatives passed a bipartisan bill a month after the deadly elementary school shooting in Texas. The bill combines gun safety legislation with funding for mental health and school security resources. Now, this has been a decade since Congress took action. Now, in the bill, they got funds for crisis intervention. They also has to improve background checks, also to close domestic violence loopholes, also to make straw purchases of gun trafficking illegal, and it also includes funding for mental health and school safety. That's a start. That's all we got to do is build on that, folks. You know what I mean? Because we have to do all the above. Now, let me say this about these people who like to talk about the Second Amendment. The Second Amendment was done, it was for a well-regulated militia to take up arms. The Second Amendment don't say what kind of arms, all right? So if you wasn't in the militia, basically you couldn't own a gun, right? And so the bottom line is that Second Amendment does not give you the right to go out and grab all these weapons that you can shoot 100 rounds and 200 rounds. That's not it, folks. Let's put it to you this way. If I can go to a drugstore and buy sinus medicine, and I have to show my ID and all this kind of thing, and I buy a box of that medicine, right? I leave that drugstore, go down the street to another drugstore. When I try to buy another box of that medicine, guess what? That pharmacist is not going to sell it to me because my name going to pop up on the screen. So if I can't buy a couple of boxes of sinus medicine, why am I allowed to go from one gun store, buy boxes of bullets, go to another gun store, buy boxes of bullets, go to another gun store, buy boxes of weapons, and nobody says anything? That's the problem. That is the problem. Which one is more dangerous? Buying sinus medicine or buying all these bullets and guns? So you let me know. So if y'all can stop me from buying sinus medicine, you can stop these people from stockpiling all these weapons. That's what it is, folks. Now, the biggest thing, one of the things that everybody's talking about now is inflation. You hear it all the time. You hear talking heads, you hear the Republican folks say, oh, inflation is all-time high. Yeah, I agree. I certainly agree. It is all-time high. Now, here's the next question. What's your plan to reduce it? What's your plan to reduce it? Since you're going to complain about it, can you fix it? And if you can't fix it, you need to stop complaining because you become part of the problem. So all those folks out there hollering about inflation, somebody give me some ideas on how to fix it. You don't hear that coming out of them, do you? That's all you hear. Oh, it's just high, inflation high, gas prices high. Okay, so what are you going to do? You ain't got no plan? Okay, well, we can end this conversation. Shoot, you ain't got no plan? Guess what? I don't have no plan. So we don't have a plan. We just gonna roll it out. And then you hear these people talking about the free market. This is what the free market looked like. Remember these people talking about when the healthcare bill was being debated? Oh, let the free market take care of healthcare. This is what the free market looks like. Because the government cannot make a company produce more of anything. Those are private companies. The government can't come in and say, I want you to produce more potato chips. They can't do that. They can ask them, but the companies say, we ain't doing it. We doing what we want to do, right? So you either got to have it one way or the other. Either you want government to come in and put some guidelines in, or you don't. Now, a lot of y'all talking about all this overreach. Government's overreach. Well, this is what you get when the guidelines fall off. You get inflation and price gouging. Now, let me tell you somebody who's trying to do something. President Joe Biden. President Joe Biden, he announced a gas tax holiday. And the gas tax holiday would have suspended federal gasoline tax, and also fuel tax, energy tax. It would have got rid of that. It would have it would have knocked down 18 cents per gallon for 3 months. But you know who didn't want to get along with that? His own party. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi said it wouldn't do anything. House Majority Leader Stanley Hoyer said he don't think that'll give much relief. Well, let me tell you something, Nancy Pelosi and Stanley Hoyer. If you give me 18 cents off a gallon of gas, that's helpful. You give me 16 cents off a gallon of gas, that's helpful. You give me 5 cents off a gallon of gas, that's helpful. So I don't know what these people are thinking about. Any reduction in that gas tax is helpful. So, not only Joe Biden has to deal with Republicans who are strongly against anything he's trying to do, now he's got to deal with the Democrats who don't want to go along with some of the proposals that President Biden has put forth. Now, the House tried to pass a price gouging bill. All right. Matter of fact, they did approve the price gouging bill to combat the gasoline prices. The bill was backed by House Democrats and would give President Joe Biden the authority to declare an energy emergency. All right. Now, all the Republicans unanimously voted to oppose the bill, along with 4 Democrats. So you can't say that President Biden is not doing anything, because he is trying to do something, but he's getting the opposition from Republicans, which we knew that was going to happen, and then you get some from the Democrats. So how can you win? And you know who loses in all this? You and I, the American people. We're losing in all this. So, and matter of fact, Steve Scalise, I'm going to knock down some of these rumors here about these gas prices in a minute. Steve Scalise, who's a Louisiana representative, said that the answer to high gas prices is to increase production here in the United States, which leads me to my next story. I'm gonna give you the facts. Now, here are the facts. Drilling for more oil in the United States would lower high gas prices. That's the myth. Here's the facts. You can go to PolitiFact and you can look this up, so you don't have to take my word for it. Drilling for more oil in the United States will not lower gas prices because the production of U.S. oil does not set the price of gas. It's a global price of oil does. Oil and gas are global commodities. So Steve Scalise, you're wrong about drilling more and production more. You're wrong. The rest of you people are wrong for saying that same nonsense, because you can produce more oil if you want to in this country. The bottom line is a global commodity. You got it? Here we go. Now, let me give you another fact. Now, here's the myth. Gas prices are raising because Biden banned oil drilling. Here's the facts. President Biden did not ban oil drilling. In fact, his administration issued more than 3,500 new permits to drill on federal lands in the first year. Now, listen up. Turn your device up. I want y'all to hear this. That's 34% more than the Trump administration in the first year. Did you get it? Let me repeat it again for y'all who didn't hear it. That's 34% more than the Trump administration did in first year. So you got it? So all this stuff about drilling more and all that kind of thing, President Joe Biden didn't do that. Matter of fact, he did more than what Donald Trump did in his first year of the presidency. So, and here's the thing about this Keystone Pipeline that people keep bringing up. The Keystone Pipeline, he canceled the Keystone Pipeline. Shut up. The Keystone Pipeline, here's the fact. The thing ain't even finished. It'll take you almost another 5 or 6 years to get the thing done. Anyway, that sludge coming through there wasn't intended for being used here in the United States anyway. Before it's refined, it'll take another 4, 5, 6 years. And that's on down the road. It wouldn't affect any of these gas prices right now. So all this stuff about the Keystone Pipeline, go read something, folk. Just don't look at these talking heads on TV. These people make money off of giving out misinformation, right? And the reason why they can do that is because Ronald Reagan stripped away the fact in the federal communication that you don't have to be truthful in your media outlets anymore. You can just say anything. And these people do say anything, and people gravitate towards the foolishness. So that's what I'll say about the gas prices. Herschel Walker. I know Herschel Walker, the football player, played for Georgia, played in the NFL, played USFL. Herschel Walker is running for Senate. He's running against Raphael Warnock. Herschel Walker was at a NASCAR event, and I'm gonna play the tape because I want y'all to see this. I'll be back on the other side of this tape. Here we go.
The pipeline. Get rid of the pipeline. Get rid of our energy. Start this downfall because we need energy for everything. We all know that.
Yeah.
And they were talking about the Green New Deal. Climate change. I'm going to help you all with that real quickly, and I'm going to do it in the Wrightsville way so you can understand what I'm saying. We in America have some of the cleanest air and cleanest water of anybody in the world. So what we do is we're going to put from the Green New Deal millions or billions of dollars cleaning our good air up. So all of a sudden China and India ain't putting nothing in there cleaning that situation up. So all that bad air is still there. But since we don't control the air, our good air decided to float over to China, bad air. So when China gets our good air, their bad air gotta move. So it moves over to our good air space. And now we gotta clean that back up.
Okay, did you hear what he said? Here's what he said, folks. He says, since we don't control the air, our good air decides to float over to China's bad air. So when China gets our good air, the bad air got to move, Walker explained. So it moves over to our good airspace. Then now we got to clean that back up, Walker added. Let me tell you something, folks. I don't know much about climate change, but I do know about crazy. And I do know about people who are misinformed. Herschel Walker is both of those. If he thinks that good air from the United States is floating over to China's bad air, and so when China gets our good air, the bad air moves over here to the United States. I didn't make that up. That's what Herschel Walker said, folks. This is a man who's running for Senate. This is a man, if he takes the Senate, he'll be there to oversee pieces of legislation that affect you and me. This man should be nowhere near any political seat. None. And I can tell you what now, Herschel Walker was a pretty good football player, but he's not a political candidate, folks. Donald Trump likes him. He likes Donald Trump. Donald Trump propped him up. This is embarrassing. I mean, as a black man, watching another black man talk in the most ignorant, misinformed, stupid fashion, it's embarrassing to people of color. Come on, Herschel. You know you don't know anything about politics, right? I done been in places where drunk guys sound more professional in what they're talking about than Herschel Walker. Maybe he played one too many football games without a helmet, because this man is not qualified for a Senate seat nowhere, not in America, not anywhere else in the world. I can tell you that. I think he needs to go back to school and learn something. I don't know what they taught him down in Georgia. All right, moving on. Let me say this about here's a story. I know you probably didn't see it, but I want to bring it up because I think it's important. Newt Gingrich insults Vice President Kamala Harris with a barrage of ignorance facts. This is Newt Gingrich on a show called Jesse Waters Prime Time, which comes on Fox News Network. And we're going to roll the tape, and I want you to hear what this man said about Vice President Kamala Harris. Here's the tape.
Newt Gingrich is the former Speaker of the House and author of Defeating Big Government Socialism. All right, so Speaker, she's now all into photo ops and softballs on MSNBC. She's not Borders Arena anymore. We get that. It's presidential campaign season, obviously. How do you interpret Clyburn, who tapped Joe to be the nominee, now basically tapping Kamala to be his successor?
Well, look, she's crazy enough to satisfy the left. She fits all the various, personality requirements. She's a woman. She's a woman of color. She comes from our biggest state. The fact is, the easiest way to understand Kamala Harris is she's the first product of the modern teachers union woke education system to get to national office. She doesn't know anything. She doesn't know how to learn anything. She is inarticulate, and she's not sure what the big words mean anyway. And I think in that sense, she's very representative of millions of Americans who've been cheated by a school system which no longer functions and no longer does its job. So I never take her seriously, except that she is vice president, and under some terrible circumstances, she could actually be president. And that would be horrifying. However bad you think Joe Biden is, Kamala Harris would, in fact, rapidly surpass him and achieve worst president in American history, I think, within 30 days. It's inconceivable, but it could happen.
Do you think there might be a thought going through Joe Biden's mind? And I'm not finished with the question. And the thought might be...
I was going to say that was...
and the thought might be this: I have to run for re-election, not to save the country from Trump, but to save the country from Kamala.
No, I think that the most recent thought that went through his head was, where do I put my foot on the bicycle? Why did that not work?
Now, let me review what this man said. He says, he said he attacked her intelligence and called her prospect crazy enough to satisfy the left, who checks the box of being a woman of color. He also went on to say she doesn't know anything. She doesn't know how to learn anything. She's inarticulate. She's not sure what big words mean anyway. He also previously said that Vice President Harris may be the dumbest person ever elected to vice president in American history. See, folks, when we black folks say that some of these conservative outlets are racist, Newt Gingrich just gave you the proof. Now, why do I bring this up? I bring this up because we all know Vice President Kamala Harris. We all know she's qualified. We all know her education. We all know her background. We all seen her speak before. She's awfully intelligent, articulate, and that scares some white men. They are scared of an educated, well-thought woman like Kamala Harris. It scares them to death. And so him to talk like that, this Newt Gingrich, I wonder what he said about Sarah Palin. You remember her when she ran for vice president with John McCain? You remember when the reporter asked her, Sarah Palin, what newspapers do you read? And she couldn't name one. You know what I mean? What newspapers do you read, Miss Palin? Well, I read them all. Well, name one. Yeah, I don't know. You remember when she said she can see Russia from her back porch in Alaska? I don't know if she got a bionic eye or what she got. You remember how ignorant Sarah Palin sounded? And they propped her up, and Newt Gingrich got the nerve to talk about a well-qualified vice president as Kamala Harris. See, this is racism on display, folks. They're not hiding it anymore. They coming on out with it. And the reason why I bring it up is because we have to respond to that, because if we don't respond to that, people like Newt Gingrich, then it'll continue and it'll grow, right? And so I'm calling on NAACP, Urban League, Action Network, which is ran by Al Sharpton, and any other civil rights leader or activist out there over organization, the Divine Nine, where y'all at? We need to call for Newt Gingrich to apologize to Miss Harris. Apologize. Come on, Reverend Al Sharp. You out there talking every day. Where you at? Come on, NAACP. Where y'all at? Come on, Urban League. Where y'all at? And the rest of these organizations. Because we can't let this slide. He attacked Kamala Harris in the most racist, vile way you can do it. And we shouldn't let Newt Gingrich get away with this. And we shouldn't let that Jesse Walters get away with it because he was in on it, laughing and carrying on. Don't let this slip by, folks. Don't let this slip by. Start a campaign. Write some of the sponsors who sponsors that Jesse Walters primetime show. We can make a difference. But if we sit back and let people like Newt Gingrich talk about not only Kamala Harris and Vice President Kamala Harris, we sit back and let him do this racist attack, we'll get more of this. And the reason why they fear Kamala Harris, Vice President Kamala Harris, because they fear she may run for president. And that terrifies some white men. It terrifies them to the point where racism, they can't contain it no more. Newt Gingrich is racist. That Jesse Walters is racist. That Fox News Network, who put that crap out there, is racist. And I don't care if you disagree with it or not. Newt Gingrich just told you how racist they are. Now what you gonna do? All right. So I'm gonna close with that, folks. I appreciate you viewing the show. I hope you share the show out. You know, we got our channel rolling on YouTube and Facebook. You'll see it. You know, this is our opening show. Curtis Welch is a producer, one of the baddest producers in the United States. Curtis Welch is a bad dude. I'm not gonna lie to you. You know what I mean? I just gather up the information and try to put it out so people can understand what I'm saying. And Curtis Welch take care of the rest of it. He is the producer. You'll see the credits at the end. So we'll be in touch. We're coming once a month. We may increase it a couple times a month. But I thank you for viewing and share it. And may God bless you and your family.